It's a whole lot of us, that's my family. Wanna go higher, turn up the tempo, increase the BPM, okay. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM. Increase the BPM.
What's up, guys? Chris Morgan, FCA, University of Louisville. Welcome to our weekly podcast, In the Huddle, where we ask current and former athletes into our huddle, into our space to share their stories, what God has done, what he's doing, and what he will continue to do. Excited about today. One of the most beloved athletes come through University of Louisville, especially in my time. But it's a joy to call him a friend. I'm glad he's here with us today. Peyton Siva. Peyton, welcome to our show today.
Thank God.
Yeah. Hey, man, a lot of people know of you, but I'd like to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit, just kind of talk to them a little bit about what was it like growing up Seattle, Washington, in the Siva household?
For me, I thought it was normal. Grew up living with my mom, my older brother, older sister. Parents are separated. My dad, in and out of jail, and for me, just thought it was normal. I grew up in a neighborhood where other families were the same way. My dad, despite being in and out of jail, he always tried to be around. He was a big influence on my, athletic career. My mom was kind of like the superwoman who, did everything for our family. Grew up, watching my older brother and sister play sports, wanted to be like them. And yeah, I would say, for me, I thought that was just a dream. I can't complain. I didn't have it any better or any worse than anybody else. I'm thankful for everything that my mom did for me and my brother and sister looking out for me growing up.
Yeah, so obviously we see basketball, but you see there was a lot of sports, with the older siblings, constantly competing. Obviously basketball is your love, but what's another sport that you really started to excel at early?
Oh, football is my favorite sport. Football was definitely my favorite sport growing up. My brother played it. Everybody on my dad's side of the family played it. Grew up watching him. We would play football on Sundays with no pads against those big Samoans. Yeah. So I had to learn how to be fast and not get hit by them. And I still love football to this day. Football is still.
What position?
I played everything. I was a wide receiver, free safety, cornerback. Played it all the way until high school. Did really well, kick return, punt return, until I got hurt, and then I stuck with basketball.
One of the things I've always noticed about you and family is the closeness that you shared. Yes, there's a father and brother, sister, mom, but it doesn't ever seem like it was just forced upon you. It seems like it was just really like a family gathering, like we're going to go watch, we're going to be part. Is that way it was, or did you feel like a pressure to play?
To play sports? No. The one thing about sports that I grew up understanding is it brings people together. For all the shortcomings that my family might have had, the separation that they might have had, sports was a way that they came together. Whether that was me playing 8, 9 o'clock in the morning in the winter, or me playing those 8 o'clock games in the gym, my family was always there to support me, which I'm very thankful of. That was kind of the one time that everybody came together to, celebrate and to cheer, and then went on our separate ways afterwards. But, sports really brought us all together, and I think that's why it plays such a big part of my life.
That's so good, man. So recruiting has obviously changed. Landscapes looked a lot different than when you were getting recruited. Coming out of high school, McDonald All-American, all of these different things, these awards, so to speak. Why did you choose the University of Louisville?
Well, one, I had a good friend of mine who I grew up watching playing, Terrence Williams, who went to the University of Louisville, and that's kind of how it kind of got on my radar. And to be honest, I wanted to get away from home. Just a lot of things that was going on that wasn't good for my health and my mental health. So wanted to get away, wanted to kind of just grow up, become my own man. And, Louisville came on my radar. like I said, Terrence was a vital point of that. Just watching him play, and then I just saw the way that they played. I loved the red and black uniforms. I loved the way that they got up and down the court. It looked just fun, the energy, the excitement. And then I came down here. The fan base was just amazing. We went to a football game. They knew every single basketball player. Everyone said hi to them. And it just kind of, for me, just resonated that they just treat everybody like family. And they really love their players. They really love, and that was pretty much an eye-opener for me, right? I grew up in Seattle, Washington, loved UW, but it's just a really big city, and you just didn't feel that around the city as much, I would say. And coming to Louisville, you can see the diehard fans and how they treat their players. And then just really, did my research, talked to Coach Pitino. I was being recruited by Richard Pitino, who we became really close friends. And I thought it was a great fit for me, and it ended up working out.
Yeah. I remember you were a senior, just graduated. I guess it was in an all-star game, Derby Classic maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from that moment, and even to now, you have always been loved by fans, especially here at University of Louisville. And I think it has a lot to do with, you play with a swagger, you have that thing, you love to do that, but you're so humble, and people flock to that. Oh, where did that come from?
I would say my mom really instilled that in me from a young age. She was always one that, God's gifts to you can always be taken away. And she was really big on just treating other people with respect, not thinking that you're bigger than the next person. And I took that, with me everywhere. My AAU coach, my high school coach, my youth pastor, they've all just preached it and instilled it in me just to be humble, right? Just, be thankful for the gifts. My youth pastor had this saying, IAJ, which I kind of carry with me to this day. It's all Jesus. No matter what I do, whether that's on the court, whether it's off the court, just give all praise to God. Thank Jesus for everything. And those are some of the things that for me is just like, look, I'm no better than the next person. Yeah, I'm able to play basketball, and I might make some goals sometimes. I might make some really good passes or steals, but at the end of the day, that's not who I am. And I can't look down on anybody else for not being able to do some of the things because they're probably blessed in other areas of their lives. So I really have to thank the community that raised me for that, to instill that in me and not to make me feel like I'm bigger than somebody else.
Yeah. Playing for Coach Pitino, Coach has some guys that he pushes, but there's also some guys that he pushes that he's also like, and he's very open about the love and appreciation that he has, whether that's Russ Smith, I can name a couple others, but you're one of those guys that he presses, but he also has an incredible respect for you. What was it like to play for Coach P?
Wasn't the easiest, I would say. It was, my freshman year was super tough. Wasn't playing as much as I would have hoped to. Practice was grueling. It was tough, man. I would say this, and Coach would tell you too. Like I struggled my freshman year, and just had some tough times. Especially when I wasn't playing, mentally was really tough. But as the years went on, the more I learned, the more, he was able to teach me, and then let the rope go a little bit. The freedom came back, the love came back, and I really learned the work ethic that was needed to become successful at this level. And he's taught me so much, throughout my career and throughout my life that, I'm very thankful for, Coach Pitino for what he's done. Now, it wasn't easy to no stretch of the imagination, but, it made me better for it.
Mm-hmm. I love watching athletes compete, where the Bible says, Colossians, whatever you do, do it with all of your heart. I love when athletes use that passion, excitement. Even more, I love it when they are really quick to pass and reflect that glory to Christ. You are a Christian athlete. That doesn't mean that you're perfect and always have been perfect, but you've always used that platform to talk about Christ. Tell us how that went about. Tell us a little bit of your journey of becoming a believer in Christ.
I just, start from the beginning. My mom, always believed in God. Wasn't the biggest Christian, but, she always taught us values of it. And I talked a little bit about my dad and the Samoan side. We had this pink church growing up, and it was kind of like the family church. I hated going. And the reason why I hated going was they all spoke Samoan in the church, and I didn't speak Samoan. And so I didn't understand what was going on. I'll go there on Sundays with my dad sometimes and the family, and it was just the worst experience because I didn't know what was going on. And I'm sitting in there and, somebody speaking a foreign language to you and you don't know what's going on. You're going to, put two and two together. I don't want to be here. Fast forward to around middle school, going into high school, I would say, I was asked to go to a Bible study, a youth Bible study, and that kind of changed my life. I would say, going to that youth Bible study, getting a chance to meet the youth pastor there, Danny Cage, getting around people who were in the same neighborhood, same situations that I was growing up. He put the Bible into terms that I could understand and I could relate to. Just sports metaphors, playing games. It wasn't so serious, right? And I feel like a lot of times in the church, it can be one way and you feel like you have to abide by those rules or things of that nature, especially when I was growing up. And the way that he taught it was in a way that I felt comfortable and I could relate to. Just as you talk about giving everything you have on the court for God's glory, right? I'm a big firm believer is if I go out there and play with everything I have, I can go at home and sleep that night, right? No matter, I can't control if I make every shot. I can't control if my teammate makes every shot, whatnot. But I can control my effort and I can control my energy and I can control my attitude and how I'm going out there and playing. And he put the Bible in terms that I can understand. He put the people in the Bible and he put Jesus in a way that I can relate to. And the more I was able to talk to him, the more he showed who he was, how he was able to have fun, how he wasn't so serious, but still lived his life for Christ. I wanted to be like that, right? And there's another person, Dave Stone, right?
Yeah.
Who's the goofiest guy you'll ever meet, the funniest dude. I love him to death. But to have that joy, to not take life as so serious, I'm bad at this. He can remember everybody's name and he makes it a point to do that, which he doesn't have to. He meets so many people, but watching him and watching people like that, yourself included. But when I was growing up, seeing that, I've always, when I did go to church, there was a lot of people who were just serious and very strict on a lot of things. It kind of pushed you away from it, but going there really helped me just come closer to Christ, learning his love, learning who he can be in my life. I think that really helped me and got me to where I am now. And I thank Danny all the time. When I got to college, he would send me a scripture every single day, just whether it was on a time text, whatever, it didn't matter, And if I read it every day, probably not. But the days that I did read it, it felt like it resonated with me and what, in God's timing, even I asked you in college when we got a chance to meet later on, you started sending me text messages every day just about that. And, that really helped me on my journey and my beliefs with Christ. So.
And that's why I'm drawn to FCA, is because I've always loved sports, and been drawn to the athletic field of competition and the love that I have for Christ and to see people grow in who God has created them to do. And FCA just became that perfect match for me to be able to use my giftedness. And, FCA on campus, I mean, you were there, you started coming, it was still a big group, but it wasn't as big as the group it is
Yeah,
today.
so-
Yeah. So why would a person, an athlete, I mean, you were faithful on Monday nights coming out and being part of that. Why would an athlete do that?
I remember it was funny because when I got to college, Matt Morrison, invited us, a couple guys, sent it out to everybody. It was like, hey, we're going to have Bible study at the dorm in the theater room. And I was like, oh, we're going to have Bible study? Okay, cool. Like, I understood from the youth Bible study groups, was like, oh, yeah, I'll go. Being an athlete, you can make time, but it's tough. You're always traveling to go to church. You're always traveling. You're on the road. Coach might set practice at this time or that time, and you're not really in control of your schedule. So that it's always tough in that sense. But what FCA did was it made it accessible to get a group of guys like-minded, talk about Christ. And I remember Matty Mo said that, and everybody was kind of like skeptical. I was like, all right. And then they said, oh, we have Chick-fil-A sandwiches coming. And the whole team showed up. It was super cool. Once we actually got in there and we started talking, it wasn't like it's 3-4 hour just, studying the Bible, studying scripture by scripture. It was, an hour. We were able to just talk, fellowship, talk about our experiences, meet one another, especially in the basketball team, right? You have your teammates who are from every which part of the country, some out of the country. That was just a space that we can open up and just kind of get to know each other. But, for an athlete, it kind of transitioned into meeting other athletes, right? We started off at the dorm. Then you started inviting us. We were at the new Angel Envies. It used to be something else. We started meeting there. We started meeting at the football where they watch film at.
Mm-hmm.
And just to meet the other athletes on campus was unreal, just because now you get to get the point of view of someone from the softball team or the football team, women's basketball, lacrosse, field hockey, all the track. And then now it just brings everybody together because now you want to support them because now you have a more personal connection with them. But then even on campus, you see them around and you can talk to them a little bit more. And I think it's so important for, athletes, because they're put into this bubble, to know that they're not alone in what they're doing and they're not alone in what they believe in and things of that nature. And I think the FCA does a great job of just bridging the gap between all the athletes. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and I've loved to watch that happen organically. It's not something that was, just pushed and pushed and pushed, but just something that just happened, the fellowship. We say now that, and I took it from a pastor that's in Atlanta, but he says that you can belong before you believe. And I think it's not a threatening place on a Monday night for an athlete to come in. We have some that are really, really solid in their faith, but then we have some that are not even believers, and they feel so welcome to be part of that. And I love that. If you come for the chicken sandwiches, you keep coming on for the chicken sandwiches. We'll keep providing. But in that room is a room where people don't feel like somebody's always wanting something from them. They can come and they don't have to be something other than themselves, and that's enough. And so I've loved watching that happen. The Bible says, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. Tell us about your wife, Patience, man, because you definitely outkicked your coverage with her, man. You got a good one. Tell us how long you been married?
We've been married, it's 11 years.
11 years.
11 years. Got married back in 13. So I'm 13 after I graduated college. Got married. Have 2 kids, 10, 7, 2 daughters. Amazing daughters. Addie, just like her mom. It's funny because now she's getting a little sass, and I always joke with my wife, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's like looking in a mirror, huh? And then my youngest one, who's the free-spirited, crazy one, will jump off a couch, bump her head, and my wife would be looking at me, and she's like, oh, it's just like looking in a mirror, huh? So they're super great, but my wife's just amazing. I'm super lucky to have her, especially in the career that I'm in, for her to, stick with me, travel overseas, go through the NBA, put up with, the brutal scheduling of, basketball. You know, she's just been amazing. And now, she runs the business. We started together a year ago with Shoot 360, the basketball training facility, and she runs that. She does all the day to day. She does all the, the business, the booking, and she's just been amazing, right? She homeschools our daughters. Uh, she does more than I can ever do, and I'm very thankful
Well,
to have her.
that's the whole idea, man. Is to marry above yourself. Marry someone in that it's natural, and just to watch you guys grow as a couple has been a joy for me to see. You mentioned her running the business. Tell us about the vision and the dream behind 360.
Yeah, so we wanted to start. We didn't know what we wanted to do, honestly. After our playing career, we were done. We know we wanted to move back to Louisville, and we saw this gym 5 years ago. It was in Seattle. Rodney Stuckey owned that one, and was like, man, one day we'll have to bring it to Louisville. Fast forward 5 years later, the opportunity presented itself. Everything works in God's timing. COVID hit, everything hit. And then we were able to move back to Louisville, open this facility, and I always wanted to do something in the community to where I was able to kind of give back in a sense, but also influence other kids, have an impact on their lives. And creating Shoot 360, yeah, it's a business, but it's a place for kids to come feel safe, to be around other kids that they can, play basketball with, be around people who are going to treat them fairly, not feel judged, and just have an overall good experience. Because for me, going to the local Rotary Boys and Girls Club was huge for me growing up. And for these guys, we have kids in the facility. Right after school, they'll be there all day, just hanging around, shooting, and just getting the messages from their parents just saying, hey, my son's or daughter's confidence has shot up through the roof, right? Hey, they didn't make their team this year, but they're coming right back. They want to work. They want to continue to work. Just seeing that, and to know that you're having an impact on those kids' lives, a positive one, it's truly special, right? And to be able to lead by example, to be able to show that day in and day out, to put the right staff in front of them has truly been important. And it's been going well. I'm very thankful for the university, the whole Louisville community for supporting it. I'm thankful for the kids who come in there and trust the staff that's in there. I'm thankful for God for the timing to be able to put that in place, and then now opening up a door to join the coaching staff has been really cool.
Yeah, what a great opportunity for young athletes, young men and women to get involved in something, to do it the right way, to be taught the right way, to be encouraged the right way, to be loved the right way. Whether that's individuals, whether that's teams, man, I hope and pray that people take advantage of the business that you put out, because it's a business, yes, but it's a ministry. God's has laid this on your heart, and I pray it continues to do immeasurably more than you can hope or even imagine. The title that you've been given obviously is believer, husband, father, friend. You have a lot of different titles, but you also have a title that won't be taken away as a national champion. And that gives you a sense of allure that people are attracted to that. What was that like, man? Does that ever wear off? Does it ever wear off? Like, lose its luster a little bit, or no?
No, I mean, it's amazing because there's a few that you dream about and you work your entire career to get to that point. After we won, it was just like a blur, right? It was just like, did we got practice the next day? But it was just a super amazing accomplishment, for our teammates, my teammates and I, the work that we put in on the court, the way that we fought for each other, was truly special. But what I take away from the most is, man, is you don't know how many messages, how many people come up to me and just say, hey, I watched that game when my dad, or, you know, he passed away, or my son. And this, the game it meant more to a lot of people that they just, again, how I talked about how sports brings us all together. You know, people say, look, that was my last memory with a certain family member, that we were able to enjoy that moment. You don't understand that we waited for this long to, you know, experience this together, you know, or my dad passed away or my mom passed away, and that was our last experience together watching, and the best memories of my life, right? Those are some of the things that like make me feel really good to know that I had a part in that, to create that joy, that to bring joy to people, right? You know, I don't have, I would say, the gift of gab that a lot of people do to, you know, really spread the gospel and, you know, talk about Christ. But one thing I was able to do was play basketball and to honor God in the way that I played, and to use that platform. That was my platform to glorify God in everything that I did. Why we all have our different platforms, whether that's, you know, podcasts, whether that's preaching, whether that's on the football field, basketball field, wherever it may be, we use our platforms to glorify God. And that was my platform to honor God in the way that I played, and for people to see that, to know that, hey, look, he's going out there and playing his heart out, right? He's not taking the play off. He's going to give it his all. And, you know, I will always go to the free throw line and point up to God and say, hey, thank you, whether miss or make. You know, that was my way of praising him, and to show others that, you know, he's the reason, right? Like Steph Curry writes Philippians 4:13 in his shoes. That's his way of honoring God and on his platform that God has given us. So little things like that that you pick up and that you see is super important and super cool. But that was my way of doing that.
And you always seize those opportunities. You know, when you get especially in my position, when you get an athlete that wants to use that, you don't abuse that. You don't abuse that in them, but you also want them to be able to do that. And I don't think that you ever told me no, whether that was speaking at a youth rally, whether that was speaking at Eastern High School, whether that's speaking at a thing. If you could do it, you always seize those opportunities. And whether that's with your teammates, whether that's, you know, you say even a small gesture of just pointing up, well, there's a little boy that's playing basketball and he wears number 3 because you wore number 3. And he makes a 3-point basket and he points up. And you don't really know what he's pointing up. He just knows that Peyton Siva did it. And so that's an incredible thing. Couple more questions. What would you do, knowing what you know now, if you could go back and talk to a younger Peyton Siva, what would you say?
You know, I honestly invest in Apple. But for the most things, if I would just talk to a younger Peyton Siva, man, I would just say, you know, to continue to keep doing what you're doing. Understand that God has a timing for everything, because, you know, through my career, I faced a lot of ups and downs, you know, injuries, losses, family, girls, whatever it may be or has been, to understand that everything happens for a reason, right? And I'm very thankful for the man that I am today. And that's because of the past that I've had, whether it was right or wrong. You know, no one's perfect. I've made mistakes. You know, there's only one perfect person, and that's Christ. And I'm not him. So if I was to tell my younger self, man, just, you know, continue to believe, and things will work out, right? I think for myself, things have worked out really well. Would I have loved to be 10 plus years in the NBA or whatnot? Yeah, that'd be great. But I think, one, I could have lost who I was. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met playing over in Europe. The experiences that I experienced to make me who I am today. My daughters being able to travel the world. things of that nature, and the lives that I would have, been able to touch that I have, throughout my time. Uh, so those are some of the things that, I always think about, and I'm just, thankful for where I'm at. Could I be a better father? Sure. Better brother? Sure. And things that you continue to work on. But yeah.
Yeah. Webster defines leader as one that leads. It seems like every situation you've been in, it doesn't take long for you to lead. The people follow you. And again, you follow Christ, but people also follow you. And that is a great trait to have. I've heard several times Coach Kelsey saying the same thing. People gravitate towards you. Coach Kelsey has that ability as well. Tell me what it's been like to work with him. The whole city of Louisville is excited about what's going on, and they should be. He's a fantastic guy to get behind and rally behind, and this team is going to be something special. What's it like to work with Coach Kelsey?
One, it's amazing. What people see on the interviews, on, the radio, what they hear on the radio, what they see in the short video clips, that's him all the time. They don't realize the relentless worker he is. The man is in the facility at 5 a.m. every day. The biggest, the attention to details, the passion which he, works with, the energy that he brings every day. All great. The work that he's put in from being an assistant coach in high school to Wake Forest to becoming the head coach at Winthrop to going to college at Charleston, right? Everyone always says leave the place that, you left better than what you found it. And he's done that at every level that he's been at, right? Winthrop took him to the conference championship. Charleston took him to the conference championship. Now here at the university, everywhere he's been a winner. And to see him work every day, to see the time, the effort that he puts in is truly remarkable. But the biggest thing I would say that I've been most impressed with is his love for his family and his love for, Christ. He really big in his faith, but some people can talk about it, right? Some people say, hey man, I love my family. I love this, but they're never around them. His son is in that gym every day. And his love for his son that he shows every day gives our guys a glimpse of what kind of father they can be, right? Like Johnny, he's shooting around. I think there was one quote one of the coaches said, and I was like, I've been in gyms where, like, if somebody bounces a ball, the coach is like, hey, everybody, cut it out, right? Johnny's over there dribbling away, working on his game, ball handling moves, this and that and this and that. And over on the side, right, he's not bothering anybody, but working on his game while practice is going on. I'm like, hey, do you guys want to tell, Johnny to stop while coach is talking? Now, he's not going to do it just to annoy his dad, but, he's over there working on his game. And there was like, coach said, why would he ever tell his son to stop working on his game for him to, speak? It was like, as a coach, and it's like, I'm always gone. I'm always doing this. I'm always doing that. And he was like, this is the time that I get to spend with my son. Why would I tell him not to be doing something that he loves, that we both love, to work on his game? Like, no, this is our time together. He's spending time with his teammates, but he's also spending time with his son. And it's just so refreshing to see, right? Because in this college world, in this basketball world, it's such a dog-eat-dog world that a lot of people can lose who they are and lose their selves. But to see that kind of gives you hope as a aspiring young coach that you can still be who you are and still be successful, right? You don't have to change that. And seeing Johnny in there every day, seeing the way that the guys treat him, the coaches treat him, is amazing to see that from a coach and to see that family aspect really, play a big role. Because he's under a lot of pressure, and he probably wants everything to be this. And it's like, no, I'm going to be who I am, and I'm going to be what I've always been to get me here. They have a saying, do what we do. He brought all his coaches from Charleston because those are the guys he trusts, and that's how they won. And he's not changing that. And it's super just refreshing to see as a guy coming from the outside into this, how they just accepted me into it. It's awesome, right? And it's like one day, like, even one of our other coaches, Coach Carr, his youngest daughter, Tegan's in the gym. It's just refreshing to see that family aspect doesn't have to take a back seat to trying to win or trying to do something to be successful.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. As our FCA staff has grown, more people are part of FCA as a whole. So our staff is kind of taking different sports, so to speak. And Aaron Nance has been over basketball a lot. That's bittersweet for me. I love that Aaron's growing. I miss a lot that's going on over there, but just seeing Aaron develop relationships over there has been something special. We're talking about Coach Kelsey, what kind of person he is. And Aaron will probably share this if he hadn't already. 20 minutes before the tip-off of Coach Kelsey's first game, he texts Aaron Nance and asks how his father's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's the kind of guy that Coach Kelsey is. And 20 minutes before his first game as a coach at the University of Louisville, and he's thinking about the FCA guy's dad. I love hearing that. And I love Aaron being around stuff like that, to be able to see and cultivate relationships like that. It's the kind of guy I see in Coach Kelsey. And it's awesome to see that. Let's play a little lightning round real quick. I'm going to give you a name. Tell me the first thing you think of this name, okay? Luke Hancock.
Final Four MVP.
Gorky Zhang.
It's too much just floods your minds when you think of Gorky. Amazing person. Just, off the court, just an amazing guy, but on the court, tremendous shot blocker.
Russ Smith.
Ridiculous.
Tim Henderson.
Timmy the Tooth. He's the inside joke people would know.
Well, you mentioned it
Wichita.
earlier. Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. Matt Morris.
Just a amazing spiritual mentor. Someone who I've gotten to know a lot. When I first stepped on campus, who was an amazing person.
Yeah.
Who is an amazing person.
Coach Patino.
Amazing coach. A Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah. Patience.
Wife, mother, best friend.
Yeah. And this name is probably different for different people at certain times in your life, but who's Jesus to you?
Everything. I'm just thankful for his grace and mercy because I don't deserve it. And thankful for where I'm at now because of him.
Good. Man, I love you. I'm proud of you. It's great for me to see the husband, the father, the business entrepreneur, the basketball coach, a lot of different titles. Like I said, you're beloved by many, but it's a joy to call you friend. And I just love watching it. Keep making Jesus known. And if you need anything from me, man, you reach out. Love you, buddy. Yeah, thanks.